back to another episode. Today we got John Malott with us. Welcome to the show, man.
Hey, man, welcome. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, pumped to have you on.
Yeah,
so to start us off, can you tell us a little bit more about you and what you do?
are you sure you want to start?
Yeah,
there?
yeah.
They're going to tune out real fast.
No,
Man.
no.
You're gonna lose all your audience.
We're going to
today.
go to the beginning then, real quick.
Yeah, man. You know, I'm your unlikely entrepreneur. Maybe not nowadays. Things have changed, but back in the day, it was always like, you know, go to school, get a good education, then get a good job, or, you know, go to Harvard, and then you become, you know, you drop out of Harvard, then you become like Bill Gates or somebody. So
Yeah.
you know, I didn't have all the things that society said you're supposed to have to be successful. So, you know, I don't have a college degree. I don't have a high school diploma. My first felony arrest, I was 15 years old. And then that led to about 18 months locked in a juvenile detention facility. I get out of there. What we now know is called the Crack Epidemic. Now, we didn't call it crack during that period. You know, when we first started, we were freebasing cocaine. Basically smoking cocaine.
Yeah.
And that almost took me out. 17 years old, had a heart attack. So this was kind of like the setup for me to be this, you know, entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because, and really, it was out of necessity. Nobody would hire me, you know. So nobody wanted to hire a felon, high school dropout, drug addict, you know. They're like, this dude is, you know, he's going nowhere. You know, I'm not gonna, and plus, you don't want to give me the keys to the building for sure back then.
It's good we can laugh about it now.
Yeah, now you can laugh. It wasn't, you know, funny now. It wasn't funny then. So, but that's really, you know, that's how things started for me. That's what put me on like this entrepreneurial path.
Okay.
You know, more by accident, not by design in
sure.
any way. And it just sucked. You know, trying to make ends meet. You know.
So before 15, like what was going on before 15 that led to that felony?
You know, it was. I was in a place in a neighborhood where this is just what we did. We just acted up. You know, it wasn't unusual. You know, I grew up in an environment. My mom had left pretty early. My dad was a steel worker, and you know, he went to work and then he went to the bar. Basically.
Okay.
So my brother and I ran wild in the streets, and then my dad, I think I was 13 or 14, my dad got crushed by a steel press. This thing, he would feed steel into this big machine, and the thing malfunctioned and caught him from behind, and Flight for Life picked him up. He was in intensive care for a year, you know, almost lost his life. So this whole time, there was just nobody, there was just zero supervision in the house.
Yeah.
So my brother and I just, you know, what are you going to do when you're 13, 14 years old, and, you know, you just act stupid.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. And you know, my brother has been in and out of prison his entire life. My sister died from a heroin overdose at 21 years old. So it was just a messed up environment.
For sure.
You know, coming up. And,
Okay.
and that's all we knew, man. So, you know, it didn't seem that messed up until, you know, the drugs really, you know, took hold of the house pretty bad. That was the biggest challenge.
Got it. Okay. And then 15 hit with a felony, 18 months you said?
Yeah, 18 months in detention.
Okay. So
juvenile.
what, like mentally, I guess going in, did it kind of feel hopeless at that point, or were you like, or did you feel like you could survive the 18 months?
Yeah,
like, I'll get through this.
During that part, that was just what we did. It was interesting because detention center was filled with my friends. So it was.
Okay,
I hate to even say it. It was like kind of a social deal without any girls. That was the worst part of the whole deal. I was like, oh, I don't like this part, especially when you're a teenager. So that sucked. But that was kind of the path. You know what I mean? So it wasn't until the drug problem. It wasn't until 17.
Yeah.
And I always say it was the blessing and the curse. Worst thing ever happened to me and the best thing ever happened to me. Because I ended up in this drug rehab. I was locked in this facility because there were some circumstances, you know, that were around that particular incident.
Okay.
And I met a former outlaw motorcycle gang member who was the counselor there. And it was the first time that someone looked like me, acted like me, but had knowledge. Like, he wasn't preaching to me like, you got to do this. You know what I mean? Everyone was always talking like. Back then, it seemed like grown-ups were just a bunch of dickheads.
Yeah.
And this was the first guy who was like me, and I was like, okay, I'll listen to this dude. And he was the one who turned me on to personal development. And he was like, because I'm like, okay, how do you get out? I don't know how you get out of this mess. And he said, well, let me tell you. He said, business. And I'm like, business? I said, I'm not a business guy. And he was the guy who gave me the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the beginning for me. And I wasn't quite there, of course, but that seed was planted there, that I could be more than what I was. And that there really was another route for me.
Gotcha.
So that's when things started to go into motion.
And then, so after you read that book, because that was one of the first books I read too, and it was that one, Think and Grow Rich, and 4 Hour Work Week. Like those were the first three, and then I just went on a rampage of reading everything. So was it similar for you? Like after that one?
Very similar. It was How to Win Friends, Influence People was the foundation, and there, of course, I read Think and Grow Rich back then, but I didn't get it. Yeah. That book you got to be ready for, and I've read it now probably 30 times. So like the whole.
I just read it.
Did you really?
Yeah,
I was telling them that too. Like there's a lot of people that's like their yearly read. Yeah. Like they read it once a year. I know a lot of people that do that.
It's like you ever go to a movie for the second time and there's like something that you didn't see the first time, but obviously it was there, but somehow you didn't catch it. Same thing in that book. And when I would go back to it, like. Even the chapter on like sexual transmutation.
Yeah, that's
like I didn't get that at first, but then I was like, oh, now I'm getting this shit. Now I'm getting it. The one I started catching on because of that chapter, I could be really freaking successful.
Yeah,
So it just took time, but it was always personal development became my thing. I'm 1 foot in the hood and I'm 1 foot in a personal development book.
Yeah,
I'm 1 foot robbing your house. The next day I'm trying to figure out how do I get to a seminar.
Yeah,
it was just weird, man. But I knew I had to get out of that environment. And, and then having, my last felony arrest I was 24 years old.
Oh, okay.
And that was for me. That was the beginning of the end. If you ever hear me on stage, I usually start my talks talking about that last arrest. When the police have surrounded my house, and this was the new chapter.
All right. So I want to talk about both arrests.
Oh man,
so
bring tears to my eyes.
Oh really?
I thought we were gonna talk about pause. No,
I was like, we could steer it a different way if you want. So I want to talk about those, but so 17 though, you have a heart attack. So like, is that something that when it had, like, do you even remember what it felt like, or like, did you just wake up in the hospital? And you're like, oh shit.
I don't remember all of it. Here's what I do remember. I went back to my dad's house, which I haven't been to at that point in quite a while, and it was all night. We used to get hotel rooms, and we would pass the pipe around. There'd be a lot of times there'd be 8, 9 of us, all wired and geeking in that room, and then this particular night there was only about 4 of us, which was unusual, and so the pipe was coming around a lot more than I was used to. And so by about 6 in the morning, I knew something was bad wrong. This was an all night thing. Started at like 9 o'clock at night. And, my girlfriend, I said, you got to come. You got to take me somewhere. And she took me. I said, take me to my dad's house. And nobody was there, so I broke in the house, and I went and laid on the bed that at one time was my room. And next thing I know, I remember waking up. I wake up quick. I was in the hospital. Clearly, there was lights everywhere. And then I was out, and it was like 2 days later when they told me what happened.
Oh, wow.
It was like it was 2 days before I was, conscious enough to realize what I actually did to myself.
Okay, but you said like at like 4 to 6 a.m. or something. Did you feel like chest pains or anything?
Yeah, I was. Well, I knew my heart was pounding so fast, like I could hear it in my ears.
Gotcha.
It was moving so, and your heart's gonna speed up when you do cocaine.
For sure.
But this was a whole different deal. My heart wanted to jump out of my chest. I knew something was.
Okay, gotcha. Because
it was almost like it was like one straight beat. It was going so damn fast.
Wow.
It was.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew I was messed up.
Got it, yeah, because from smoking weed sometimes that happens to me.
Yeah,
but like I know I'm
by the window, looking out the window.
But I'm like, So you were like, this is not paranoia.
This is not paranoia. This is some shit.
This is the real shit.
Yeah. But what's crazy is that I accepted it because I hated my life, man. You know what? I was like, I didn't have shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My life just really sucked. I had already destroyed so many relationships, burned so many bridges. There was not much left. So for me, I was like cool with it, in a way, in a weird way, man. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
That's
no, because you were at such a low point. Yeah. You were kind of like, well, maybe this is better in a sense.
Because it's being a bum.
Yeah.
And being a piece of shit is hard. It's hard work. And every day was a grind. I had police. I always had issues. I had so much stuff going on. It was hard to keep up with all this stuff. And then when you've burned so many bridges, you don't have people around you anymore that'll support. So I was alone. And that's why, it's weird when I think about laying on that bed. I was like, all right, and I looked up at the ceiling. I'm like, all right, whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because my mom was the one who found me. And she's never there. She ain't been around, forever. So it's interesting how all these weird things kind of came together at one point. And then going into after that, because I used to rob houses to support. I'm 16, 17 years old with $1,000 a week, drug habit back then.
You're gonna need to rob some people for that.
Yeah, no job, no. And I wasn't building click funnels.
Yeah.
So it was like, you did by all means necessary, basically. And here's what's funny about or crazy about the human mind that I think about now. I never missed an opportunity to get high. It's Tuesday night. I'm getting high. I have no money. I'm still gonna. There's no doubt that I'm gonna get high tonight. Wednesday I'm getting high. Thursday I'm getting high. There was never it never even dawned on me that I wouldn't get high. You know what I'm saying? Like I hear people quitting on shit and they haven't done anything. I'm like, if you really want to be where you stay, you can find a way to get there.
Yeah.
It's a testament to the human mind, man. I found a way to get high no matter what.
And I think are you familiar with Grant Cardone?
Yeah.
So he has a story when he was younger, he was an addict. I don't know what he did, but his story is I think at 25 or 30.
Didn't they do Quaaludes or something back in those days?
I'm not, or that was the Wolf of Wall Street.
I know they did weird drugs back then.
But it seems to me because you're talking about the mind where it's like people that have gone through that, like you were saying, it's almost hard to have to go that long doing that drug. Yeah. So if you just kind of steered your energy towards business and now we are where we are now, and so you already had the ability, but you were just pointing it towards a very negative angle.
Very negative.
So
it's a good point that you make.
Yeah.
When I finally started redirecting the energy, amazing things happened. I mean, it was crazy. And then it just seemed like everybody else was in slow motion too. When I really got rolling.
Yeah.
It was like, man, it's like how hard is it to win a race that nobody's even trying to win? Everyone's making excuses and whining, and I'm like, all right, shit, we'll just keep rolling.
Yeah.
See where this ends up.
So I wanted to ask this too. So when you were in the juvenile detention the first time, that's when you met the guy that you read How to Win Friends and Influence People. Was it then or 24?
In there it's just a free for all. There's nobody.
Okay.
Like they gave you a choice if you want to go to school or not.
Okay.
So I chose not to go to school. I mean, it was just
okay.
It was just you're still locked up, but you have during the day you're out in this big room with a whole bunch of other teenage criminals that are basically saying, next time I'm not going to get caught. That was kind of the whole talk around the TV back in that environment. So there was and then you had guards that were not nice, and it was just a very negative environment. But you got a whole bunch of teenage criminals in there.
Yeah.
Planning on how they're going to be better criminals is basically what we did all day long.
We got to rob this bank.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's what it was. And when I think back, I'm like, our system is jacked. And I think it's probably worse now. I can't even imagine. I don't believe it's gotten better. So you can tell based on we're breeding better, stronger, faster criminals than we ever have in society. But it wasn't until I got out, ended up in the drug rehabilitation.
Oh,
facility.
drug rehabilitation. Gotcha.
Yeah, drug in the facility that I went through a 45-day drug deal. I went through a detox, this whole bit. In there, every day you go to counseling and you go through. Everything was structured.
Okay, but even then, after that, though, so what happens at 24 then? Like, what's the felony? Because it obviously it got to your mind, but not fully. Like, you didn't fully commit there yet.
All of my felonies were gun related.
Okay,
I was a young, scrawny kid, so in an interesting neighborhood. So, I always carried a gun around. And, so at 15, I robbed a movie theater at gunpoint. That's what.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
What were you trying to get there?
Now, I wasn't trying to get anything. Here's what I told them. I told them it was their fault. It wasn't my fault they got robbed. It was their fault they got robbed. If they would have just left me alone, we went in. I'll never forget. It was a movie called Troll. That was coming out, and it was me and two of my buddies, and we were being disruptive, like we always are. And they came and said, "Okay, you have to leave. You're being disruptive." And I said, "Okay, well, give my money back and I'll leave." And he said, "Well, look at your ticket stub. It says no refunds." And he didn't realize in the back of my starter jacket.
Not the guy to say that.
I said, "Okay, well, give me everybody's money back." And then that proceeded to a very negative situation.
All right, give me everybody's money.
I said, "All right, if you didn't give my money back, give me everybody's money back." He freaked out. I mean, I'll never forget his face as long as I live. And then and it was just, it was a mess. And then,
incredible.
So bad. And then my last felony, I had an altercation with a neighbor.
Okay.
And a gun was involved again, and
And then, and how long were you in at 24?
The beauty of that one is that one I got out of. So I was in jail for about a month and a half, and I was in the Milwaukee County Jail.
Okay.
And so I tell a story about sitting in the bullpen of the Milwaukee County Jail. It was July 4th, 1993. And if you understand the bullpen is, it's just one big room, no windows, anything like that. And when I walked in, of course, at the weekend, criminals are in full force on the weekends, especially a hot summer weekend. And I walk in, and they have one bench around the whole wall. All the best criminals, the biggest criminals, have the bench seat. So all the prime real estate is taken. I get a little seat next to the damn toilet. And the toilet's got a little leak, so I got riverfront view in this my little spot. And I don't want to look at anybody. I don't want to say anything. Yeah. And it was, I knew for sure I was going to be in there for 3-4 days just to get to court because it was a holiday weekend. And on my way there, I had an altercation with the police. So I'm in there now with stitches in my head. I'm coming down from everything that I was on. Oh, and it was a miserable. But here's what's crazy. And I have a tattoo right here that says, "A good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children." And the reason it's so significant is because when I was being arrested, what's really different is I have a 2-year-old daughter, Lauren. And so as I'm being let out, she's freaking out. Police are leading me out of the house in handcuffs. She's crying, screaming. And I'll never forget as I hit the door, they were pulling me out, and I looked back, and we must have caught eyes for, couldn't have been more than a second or two. But I'll never forget as long as I live. And I'm on that bullpen floor, and for 4 days, all I could see was her face, screaming and crying. And it was Dave in drug rehab who introduced me. I didn't know where this saying came from. A good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. So those two things replayed over and over and over for 4 days. And it was on that bullpen floor that I said, I can't live like this. I will not live this way. And I made a decision there that, yeah, I was a loser. Yes, I was a gang, drug, all this stuff. That's who I was. That's not who I am. And when I said, I'm like, God, Allah, whoever, Buddha, somebody, you get me out of this stuff, I'm done. Whatever I got to do. And that was the last time I was ever arrested.
And so that was like the breaking point, right?
That was it for me. I had enough. And,
okay.
I was done. But the beauty of it, from 17 to then, like I said, I was still messing around with all this stuff, but I was also into personal development.
Yes. Yeah. You were halfway in, and then.
So I knew now. It's different when you don't know. You don't know. Ignorance is bliss, I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't know back then, but now I know. So even like when I went back to cocaine, you get around your buddies like, oh, you don't have to smoke cocaine. There's a way to do it. So I'm, now I'm snorting cocaine. It's like, but I still had a lot of those associations, and so it was coming out of there that's when I changed associations, everything, man.
So did you like change environment? Like, did you move, or like what was, as soon as you get out, what happens next there?
When I got out, I disappeared.
Okay.
Like, you couldn't find me for probably 6 months. You couldn't get a hold of me.
Yeah.
I knew, because the same thing happened when I left drug rehab for the first time. I was clean for 9 months coming out of drug rehab.
Yeah.
And how did I do that? I stayed the hell away from everybody.
Yep.
It was the only way for me, because as soon as I got back around my associations, you just get sucked back into it, man.
Yeah.
So when what do they say? If you hang around 5 people that
you're the average of the 5.
The average of the 5 people you hang out with the most, and that.
Yeah.
I just kept getting sucked back in, and I knew it was kryptonite for me, because it was fun, man. We had great times until it turned. It always turned at some point.
No, definitely. I think that like environment is just so crazily important, man. I think most people don't just realize that, like, if it's a good environment, it can take you just so far, and then vice versa, it can take you the complete other way.
I cannot be around people with bad energy. I can't, because I know what it's doing to me, and for whatever reason, I'm like a what the hell you call it, like a conduit, man.
I'm very similar.
Yeah, it's just so I avoid it quick.
Definitely, yeah. That I actually had to do a similar thing. I wasn't doing as hard of things as you. Your story's better, but
or worse, depending on how you look at it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, good point. Yeah. But like it was just, I needed like a different environment. Yeah. So for me, that's like Miami, but like where I grew up, and I think it's almost for anybody, just like your high school friends, even if it's not like hardcore drugs, it's just like getting out of that, the 18 years that you spent, that normal routine. Like you need like a shock or something, like to get out of there and just find your own path. Because if not, you'll just stay there because that's all you know. So
No
it's
doubt.
very
And
similar.
that was me. I needed a shot. Well, you know, arrest, drug problem, all that. That's what it took to shake me.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
know, it's crazy that it took that much when I look back at it.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, man, I'm like, you know, now I feel blessed, you know, that happened. And for me, I had to hit rock bottom before I could start climbing, you know, before I could start moving up. I feel bad for a lot of people that, you know, they get their education, they get a nice job, and then they're frustrated their whole lives.
Yeah.
So I was frustrated for, you know, a small period.
Intense, but short.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was intense, but it was still relatively short. I see people that just are miserable, you know, their whole lives. You know, and they got something called the fucking rat race that they're in. You know, it's like they live for the weekends. You know, they got 2 days to, you know, and then Sunday they're shot because they party Saturday night or whatever.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. It just seems like a pretty miserable existence.
Me too. Yeah, I couldn't do it, man. Like for me, it was I was actually in San Diego before moving here, and I was just starting the business, and I was just thinking to myself, I was like, it got to a point where I would have rather lived outside, and you know, San Diego living outside is not that bad, I suppose, but I was like, I'd rather be homeless than to have like a corporate job. And once that really clicked in for me, then I was just like full speed ahead. Like, and I didn't know what I was doing, but I was just like, I'll figure it out because that is, I'm not doing that. So
well,
once
you're free, man.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, you know, it was Harriet Tubman said she would have freed more slaves had they only known they were slaves. So when I think about that, it's not different.
Wow,
it's not
I never heard
different.
that.
You got so many people. It's a different type of slavery. They're miserable as hell. They feel trapped. They wake up. They're going to wake up tomorrow morning to an alarm clock. They're going to go to a place they can't stand, hang out with people you know they don't like, and they don't like them because when they walk past the, you know, when you walk past the water cooler, they stop talking because they're talking about you.
Yeah.
And when they're gone, you talk about them, and you got this cycle of brown nose and all these different terms we have.
Yeah.
And they do this for what, 30 years, 40 years? Then they go greet at Walmart, and then you die. I mean, that's basically the program, and it's hard. If you start to look at it, man, it's like I would, like you said, homeless is extreme.
Yeah, definitely.
But in San Diego, shit, get a tent. Go
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, it ain't that bad, honestly.
Yeah,
It's nice.
worse
Never
places.
rains.
Yeah.
Like, this is perfect for homeless. Like,
Yeah, get a book and see what happens.
So what was your so after you get, what was like your first big success? Like after,
Man,
yeah.
It took such a long time. That's what's funny, man. I get on these shows and I'm on stages and you know, people hear kind of stories and they think that all of a sudden, you know, I got all this money and I'm rolling Rolls Royces, living in this life. But it was man, it was brutal. So it took me 7 years as a full-time entrepreneur to finally crack $100,000.
Okay.
My first year as a full-time entrepreneur, I made $4,000. So you can imagine the people around me like, oh yeah, you're gonna do great, you fucking loser. You know what I mean? It was so.
Yeah.
But here's what's crazy. My first year as a full, and I was involved in a company called TPN. It was called the People's Network, and they were pumping personal development into your home via satellite. Not like the satellite we know today. These were big, like analog.
Okay.
Digital didn't exist back then. I'm aging myself. I know I look like I'm 26, but you know. But they're analog. You have to put it up on your roof, and it was snow. I remember putting this thing on the roof, and I'm yelling down, "You get a signal yet?" And it's snowing, and I'm half off the roof, risking my life. But the personal development thing was interesting to me because I knew personal development was changing my life. You know, all of a sudden you got Zig Ziglar coming into your home, Les Brown, Mark Victor, all these authors were on there, and right in my living room. Anyway, so we had an opportunity to sell these things, and it was a network marketing deal, an MLM deal, and I didn't know what that meant, had no idea. All I knew was they were harassing me to get more people on it, and then nobody would buy it though. People looked at me crazy when I said, "Oh, you get like Tony Robbins right in your living room." They're like, "Who? What?" Nobody wanted. It was $50 a month, so they for sure didn't want it.
Okay, and that was more than, I guess.
Yeah, but for me,
still, yeah.
$50 a month, because I was going to some of these seminars and dropping back then $200-300 to get a ticket. But here's what happened. Here's what changed. The Prime Star, it got replaced by Prime Star Digital.
Okay.
So now it went from an analog dish with one channel for $50 to Prime Star had like 4 HBOs. So we caught on. They don't give a shit about personal development. Sell them 4 HBOs. And if you'd have drove through the hood back then, you'd see, and back then the Prime Star dishes were pretty big, so we always knew that's one of our dishes, that's one. So we started putting up these dishes all over the hood, selling 4 HBOs. That's what people wanted, and that's what we gave them. And that's where we started getting a little success. So my first year, 4,000. Second year was 16,000, which people still laughed at me. But the percentage of growth from 4 to 16, I was catching on. That's if I can keep doing that. And that's what happened. So it was the 7th year, 116,000. And the company got bought. They got bought out by a legal insurance company. Then the next year, my income went to 224,000, and then $1 million, then $2 million a year. I mean, it was, but it was 7 years of being laughed at. Around the dinner table. Are you rich yet? Are you rich yet? You've been on the same job for 27 years. You know what I'm saying? It's like, at least I'm doing something to change my life.
Definitely, I think that's pretty though. I think it's almost not normal, but like 7 years to reach 100 grand, and then within 3 to 5 years after, then you already at $1 million.
Yeah,
that's how
started to crank.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I feel like that first 100 grand is the hardest.
It was at least for me.
Yeah, I think it is for most, and like that's at least from my standpoint, like the biggest lifestyle change. Like 100 grand was when I could start doing whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
And then, obviously your lifestyle expands from there, but like anything above that.
Then you start spending 200 grand.
Yeah. Then you're
like, oh, I get a credit card too now?
Yeah. It's definitely, you can definitely go above that, but I just mean like the happiness level, I think, was there, and then everything above that's just kind of like fun, just things in a sense, and also impact. You really start thinking about like how I can use this to like make a big change in different scenarios. So
for me at that point, I always felt like money was the reason why my family ended up the way it was. There just wasn't money there, and it always seems like my dad was working his ass off to get money to get us out of the neighborhood, to change things. So for me, it was always money. Money drove every decision I made at a certain point. And that's why I've been married. Well, I'm on my third marriage. So my first marriage was all about money. I'm like, well, just shut the fuck up. I'm going to bring us money. And I got us out of the neighborhood, put us in a big house. But I wasn't, my mind hadn't caught up to the money. The money was moving faster than my mind. And it was always like I needed the next car. I needed stuff. So I ended up with lots of stuff, but unfulfilled.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Now I'm 50, and the stuff doesn't mean shit to me.
Yeah.
I still like to have some nice stuff, but in the beginning it drove me because I really thought, I thought people that lived in big houses and had Rolls Royces and all this stuff, I thought they just were happy people. They had no issues. They just were like freaking swans on the lake. They're all pretty, and I thought that's what I would be one day. And when I got it, my house was in disarray. I carried over that same mentality. I brought it into my house.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We had a bunch of money. We looked good, but I remember living in St. Charles, Illinois, next to, Carlton Sheets. You ever hear of Carlton Sheets? Anyway, back then they used to do infomercials on television. We used to buy our courses on television. Imagine that.
Okay. Yeah.
And he was the big course guy, and he sold this no money down real estate course, which I ended up buying, but he ended up becoming my neighbor, which to me was a big deal.
That's sick.
But I was having domestic challenges, and I'm being chased through yards in my rich people yards. Which I guess it's better to run through those yards than it was the old neighborhood.
Yeah.
But
pools.
But I was still always in trouble, man. I was, I'm a grown man, and I wasn't going to prison and stuff like that, but I was still having issues inside of my own home. My emotionally, I wasn't there. Does that make sense? I never
it does. Well, it can actually like make it more extreme, right?
Yeah.
Like so money, if you're not, I guess, mentally ready for it, sometimes it can be too fast.
Yeah.
Like I'm just grateful. I don't know why I never got caught up in like the cars and stuff like that. For me though, like where I live, that's obviously I'm down.
We all have something.
Yeah, we all have something like that. So. But I wanted to, so then that's where the first money comes in. But then then they sell the MLM, and then is Build Your Empire next? Or?
No.
Okay.
So a company called Prepaid Legal bought this company. Prepaid Legal became Legal Shield, and at first I was like, this didn't make sense to me. And then we had a bunch of felons on our team. They couldn't get licensed. You had to have an insurance license, and we ended up working our way through that. But then it exploded. That's when things really started to roll. They had a great product. It was inexpensive. The pitch was easy because I knew a lot of people that had legal problems, and it made anyhow. I'm not trying to promote them.
Yeah.
They did me wrong later on, so don't.
No,
I'm just kidding.
Affiliate link.
Yeah, I got a lot of friends there. They're good people. Just we went our after basically 13 years there, and I had a strong residual income, which they took away from me. We won't go down there. You see that tear welling up in my eye?
Yeah.
Because residual income is what I work for, man. A lot of people work for like I'm not a house flipper. I'm more of like an apartment building guy.
Definitely.
I want rent, and I had built, I had 50,000 or 200,000 customers, 50,000 reps, and at one point, because they didn't like the way I was doing things, they
I can't believe they were even allowed to do that.
Yeah, they probably weren't, and actually I had people later on say you could do, and what didn't matter, Anyway, so it opened up another door for me though. That's where things really started to crank. I got involved in a skincare company.
Okay.
And they were bringing in minerals from the Dead Sea, and I was the last guy to think skincare. I'm like, what do I know about skincare? For me, skincare was whatever soap went on my head, went on my body, and I'm out. But it was that changed my life again. My first, and part of it was revenge to get back at the last company.
Definitely.
So first year, $1 million right out the gate, and
That's crazy.
I've got $250,000 a month residual income. We're in 8 countries. We had 327,000 affiliates.
That's crazy.
It just started cranking, man, and did that for 8 years, and then that's when Build Your Empire came in towards the end of that.
Okay.
That deal. And then Build Your Empire became, the vision was to take world-class entrepreneurs to bring up the next generation of world-class entrepreneurs. To bring the Grant Cardones and connect them with, the John Malotts when, he was 20 years old trying to figure shit out.
Got it. Okay.
And so that's how that whole thing came to be. And,
And so what's the structure of like Build Your Empire? Like how does that work? Is it like do the younger people like pay to be in, or is it
right now there is no structure?
Okay.
Because we went through a transition.
Yeah.
We had some people, on the team, some young guys that really told us they could do a whole lot of stuff that they just couldn't do. My partner and I got an incredible partner for 20 years, Josh Denny. Him and I own investment companies and a lot of other stuff. And we kind of let them have it. Okay. Which, looking back, was a big mistake. It cost us a lot of money and gave them a lot of credibility. They had this, Instagram page with 1.2 million followers, and then we started doing events. Was kind of our space, so we said, let's do Build Your Empire events. And, the events, I love the event business. Yeah. And then, of course, COVID hit and basically put us out of the event business.
Yeah. Gotcha.
I like the live events. I like the crowd.
Me too.
I like that whole feeling.
And I actually saw that on YouTube. It's like 3.5 hours long. I didn't see all of it, but I watched some of the clips of it. It looked sick.
Yeah, we had the Build Your Empire mansion, so we put these kids up in a, 12,000 square foot house that they lived in, and did absolutely nothing for the brand, but helped themselves. They did a lot for themselves. I think they're all doing well now. You're welcome, fuckers. No, I'm sorry.
Hey, we give back in different ways.
Yeah, I can't hold it. Look, if I was 20 years old and I live in this beautiful house, I got whatever. Maybe I'd have did the same thing. I don't know.
Gotcha. So that's transitioning. Yeah. And what else currently are you up to?
I'm excited about the next chapter. We've been, for the last 90 days, I have a billionaire partner, Terry LaCour, who's a power. Matter of fact, I'm going to see him tomorrow. We're launching a new health and wellness company based on a new packaging technology. Super sick. I'm not going to talk a lot about it right now, but we just launched our Snap 21-day challenge, and that'll lead up to the launch. And this is about to be sick, man. We're about awesome. Culture. We're about if you're part of my company, you're going to learn branding. You're going to learn leadership, team building. So we focus so much on the people, and that's why we explode. And I didn't realize that coming up, but my upline in network marketing was a guy named Jim Rohn.
Oh yeah,
you might have heard the guy.
I'm familiar.
So people don't realize, Jim Rohn made his millions in network marketing.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, most people don't. Yeah, and that's how Tony Robbins was coached by him. Bill Bailey, amazing. People.
I knew. Yeah, I knew he's Tony's coach. Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't know I was seating. Whatever. I was at the foot of greatness. You don't know at the time, and then I just knew the dude was brilliant, and but he had an incentive to be like, people hit me up all the time for me to mentor him, but I always want to say, well, what's the incentive?
Yeah.
What's in it for me besides taking time away from my family, responsibilities? Jim Rohn had an incentive because he earned an override. You follow me? So I told people, you want me to mentor you? Well, become an affiliate in one of my companies. Join me on this journey then I have an incentive to teach you everything I know, because there's an override.
Definitely.
There has to be something in return. You know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely. So, and especially like, because you're at a point too, like you said, and we all have families, but like you do have to start measuring against that time, right? So it's not like you don't want to help them. Like you do, but like at the end of the day, it's like, well, dinner with my wife, see my kids, see my wife's parents, like, or help you. You know, it's kind of you got to choose. Unfortunately, that's life.
You have to.
So,
and I didn't do well at that, because I'll work around the clock. And so
yeah, me too.
I was always like, yes, yes, yes. You call me up, yes. You call me up, yeah. It didn't matter. I was always saying yes, and it cost me. You know, it cost me relationships again, family, and so. As I became more mature, that's why I have the ability to say no, which helps you too, by the way. Even if you're an affiliate on the team, there's some things I'll say no to, just so you have to figure it out on your own. You know what I mean? Because if I'm always doing it for you, or always giving you the answer, you're never going to grow. And when I look back, I had mentors that were like, no, you know. And I also had mentors that told the truth. Like today, it's hard to mentor people because their skin is so thin.
Yeah.
So I asked you
snowflake
today.
culture.
Yeah. I'm like, do you really want the truth, or do you want me to tell you what you want to hear? You know what I mean? So I'm always careful, because they'll kill you on social media too.
Oh, yeah.
If they get mad at you, man, they will they will murder you, man.
It's getting worse and worse.
Oh,
it's bad.
That's
right
what I'm
now.
saying. I don't talk about religion, politics, or football. Man.
Yeah.
People lose their minds over these things.
I know. You
Bring
gotta
it
be
up.
careful.
Yeah. What's my belief? Whatever yours is.
That's I believe in you.
I believe in you. You can do it.
Yeah.
That's the best way to put it.
Oh man.
It is interesting times, man. But I had mentors back then were like, I don't like what you're saying. Call me back in a week, or click. It'd be like, hello. It was like, do it my way, or don't talk to me anymore. I can't waste my time with you. You can't do that anymore. You got to coddle people a lot more. And
so if somebody like wanted you to be their mentor, 'cause I feel like this would be helpful for a lot of people. Like how would you like to be reached out? So obviously you want to know what's the benefit for you. Like, should it be like direct, short, sweet, or like, is there a way that you would prefer?
Yeah, you know, like people, I'm like this. Bring me your downtrodden. Bring me, you know, your rejects, your losers, and you know, bring me the people that just for whatever reason never quite got. You know what I mean? Hanging around me is like, it's about redemption. So I'm like, you want to be redeemed? You want me to teach you the things that, you know, that you think you don't know? Because most of the stuff we know. You know, it's just maybe, you know, what I think our job as leaders is to bring out what's already inside of you. It's already in everybody. It's just sometimes we just need the right person to help bring it out. So, you know, I tell people, hit me up on Instagram, you know, John.Malott, or now we've got the Snap is the name of the company. It has to do with our packaging. We got this ridiculous packaging that you'll see soon. We'll be the first to the market with it, and we're bringing all these, you know, incredible products, and then the culture and all the stuff. So we have the snapchallenge.com.
Okay.
Where they can join, because it takes 21 days to create a new habit, or at least that's what research suggests.
Yeah.
So we're doing this 21-day challenge around mind, body, spirit type thing, and then that'll lead into the launch of our new company, and then we'll go smash this thing all over the world together. And so I tell people, look, if you want to, it's like, I always have mentors that said, you make your living in your full-time, but you make your fortune in your part-time. And when your part-time income here exceeds your full-time income there, you now live in a world of I choose to, no longer in a world of I have to. Because how many people today live in a world of I have to? Like, I have to go to work. I have to do this. It's like you don't live in, you know, communist, you know, Russia or Siberia or some shit, you know? And so we show people how to exceed, you know, whatever it is they're making in there. And I tell them, look, you know, if you want to do other stuff, I'm cool with that. You know, we live in, there's so many options today, you know, and so we try to bring in all my friends, you know, that have all these different opportunities, you know, to, you know, you look at what, like, you guys know Chase Hero.
Yeah.
So you look at what Chase Hero and these guys are doing. I mean, they're smashing. My good friend Josh Snow with the Snow teeth whitening. There's so many different places to make money and get around incredible people.
Oh yeah.
My guy Cody Grandadam, who I'm meeting in Dallas tomorrow. I mean, the dude started selling batteries. Now he's doing, I don't know, he's done like $200 million in flashlight sales to like Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot. It's like, Today's
Yeah.
if you can't get
opportunity's
rich
crazy.
today, that's
Yep.
why I'm back in the mix. I partied for 3 years. You know, I retired and I'm watching all these young guys. I'm like, wait a minute, there's too much fun to be had. And that's why I got out of the strip club and
Got out of it.
Yeah, I'm like I got to get back into the trenches, man.
Have you been to 11 over here?
I was
I've
about
many-
to shout that
Yeah,
out.
many times.
I was.
Yeah, I got a parking spot over there.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome. So last question I want to ask you here is, it's kind of twofold. I feel like you've thought about this. You've retired. Like, how would you want to be remembered, or like the ultimate like impact that you're trying to make, like at the end of life?
Yeah.
We went from 11 to 0. So.
From the strip club to the day you die.
I wanted to ask it though. So.
Well, you know, I have legacy tattooed on my arm, and it's a big deal for me because I have 4 daughters, and for me, it all comes back to that: a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. But I called on that it was more than just money. That it was about, you know, what are my kids going to do down the road? Like I can leave them money and they can have money, and you know, a lot of times you give kids a whole bunch of money, they just become spoiled ass kids. But it's the information, it's that paying it forward. You know what I mean? I'm like, now my partner and I, Josh Denny, we're impact investors. We invest in things that impact people. Like don't bring me something that's just about money. You better say, okay, here's what it's going to do for somebody. Here's how it's going to change the world. Here's how it's going to make a difference. Besides our private jet company, that was more for flights on a private jet.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, for me, it's about impact, man. What I want when I'm gone, and I think about that now at 50. I think about, and it's weird, and it's almost selfish now.
Yeah.
That I'm thinking about what people are going to say about me when I'm gone. And who knows where I end up. You know, I always say you only live twice, here and then wherever the hell you end up from here. I don't know if I'm going to know what they're saying. I'm going to hear it or whatever. But, you know, I'd like to have, you know, a bronze statue somewhere with my head and you rub my nose for good luck or something. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So it's just, I want to leave the world a better place, man. But entrepreneurship is the way, man. I think we're crazy. I hear people talking about socialism, all this stuff. I'm big on the human spirit, man. Let us go. Let us run wild with as few regulations as possible. You know, let good people do good things.
For sure.
Because in the end, I'm going to say this because it's political season, and I don't really talk about this a lot. I'm not going to go political, but I am going to say it won't matter who gets elected.
Yeah.
The entrepreneurs are going to figure out how to maneuver around it. It will not be the politicians that solve our problems. They never do. It'll be the entrepreneurs. You know, if there's an energy problem, Elon Musk shows up. You don't like what you're paying for goods and services? Well, Jeff Bezos has a solution for you. You know what I'm saying? So that's us, man. You know, we should be celebrating the entrepreneurs instead of we got half of our population trying to take them out.
Yeah.
And without them, it's an interesting world. Matter of fact, that I would tell you this: there's a book called Atlas Shrugged. That was written in the 50s by Ayn Rand. It's a 1,000-page story, but I think it's more relevant today than then. And I got the recommendation. There was a thing about a billionaire's reading list, and there was one book that kept coming up, and it was Ayn Rand, Atlas Shrugged.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
okay.
if you read that book,
We
you'd be
gotta
like,
check that out. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It basically poses
I'm
the question:
getting
what happens if the politicians and what we call the looters and the moochers get their way, and you stop the entrepreneur from doing what they do, and it lays out the whole scenario, and it's pretty interesting, man.
Oh, I'm getting that.
Yeah, you
for
gotta
sure.
We're
get
gonna
it.
purchase that before we leave.
I'm telling you,
Dude,
man, you'll be recommended everywhere you go because you
That's
want everybody
awesome.
to read it. And, but
That's
the great
okay.
entrepreneur, the mind of the entrepreneur is.
I agree,
we should
man.
be, and especially see what's happening with our kids, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're coming out. They have no financial literacy. You know, they can't work a checkbook. I don't know, man. Anyways.
No, I agree. Well, dude, look, thanks for coming on the show. It was amazing. Last thing is, and you mentioned it a little bit prior, but like social medias, website, like where can people stay in touch with you?
You know, for me, Instagram, I manage all my own stuff. So, but I focus most of my attention on Instagram.
Okay.
So Instagram is john.malott, Malott. So you can hit me up there, and then, you know, watch for our new company, man. I'm super stoked about what we're gonna bring. You know, we're gonna give them hell.
Perfect, man. Thank you again.
Appreciate you guys, man. Thanks for having me.